Okay, here's the deal. Let's keep it simple. With everything going on in the world today, all the craziness, all the madness, every group is against every other group, uh, that's part of the problem. I mean, we can have our differences, but we don't have to turn against each other. We are American citizens. We're also human beings, children of God. We need to live up to that expectation. We need to do what we can for each other man, for a fellow man. Morgan Freeman put it quite simply. He said, if you don't call me a black man, I won't call you a white man. And it's pretty self-explanatory what that means. We're to treat each other like human beings. We're all part of the same race, the human race. We need to start acting like it. Now, there's only one solution which deals with all the protests and stuff because of George Floyd. And there's only one real solution comes to that. And people are going crazy, they're rioting and all that. But if you ask me, and most people who know this know that that's a completely different group. They're just cashing in on the protest to kind of set their own agenda. But if you really want to solve this equation, you must first figure out that not all black people are crooks, not all white people are slave owners, or whatever be the equivalent of today's society. Not all cops are bad. In every group, there's always something to make the other groups look bad. Division. The devil's big on that. He likes us to fight, and we need to stop that. But in a way to do that is through communication. I had one lady tell me today in regard to on a friend of mine's post on Facebook, and she said, well, Colin Kaepernick, he did his kneeling and nothing has come of it. Well, because that's all he did. And then when the other people started, well, that's all they did. It wasn't. If it was to raise awareness, okay, well, you're aware, now what are you going to do? How do you fix the problem? And the problem is communication. You must have dialogue between all the groups. So you need to have dialogue with local law enforcement, your local government, and those in your community. And I have said a long time ago when all the kneeling things started, is that the NFL, because they were the ones who were doing the kneeling, they would have been a perfect go-between to help bridge that gap. They go visit the local police department, and then they could help raise awareness with the community. Because the problem is, you got communities which teach their children to fear the police. Instead of like when I was a child, we were taught the police is your friend. Now I understand it's different times and there were different groups, but it's all the same. We all have a hardship, some different than others, but the key is communication is to working together. And that's just how I see it. I mean, if you don't agree, that's fine, but, just kneeling or just having a massive protest sitting out there in the middle of the street of downtown would prevent businesses from operating, you're not really doing anything helpful. You're just hurting. And it's been getting way crazy now where you have white people who are yoked, with these shirts saying, "I'm sorry," they're apologizing for slavery. That happened over 160 years ago. These people did not own slaves. Probably their ancestors didn't own slaves. It's just, all it's doing is creating more division. And like I said, the way to address this is actually to have communication with your local leaders, your mayors and your city council. They represent their communities. They could have town hall events and discussions, and then have your local police there, and you work things out. You try and come to some kind of understanding. That is the only way to solve not just this problem, but any problem. If you don't communicate, then something is left out. It's kind of like, this is why I don't like texting. It seems like an odd segue, but when you text, instead of actually talking, sometimes you can say something quite innocent, but for some reason, the person you sent the message to can take it the wrong way because they can't hear the inflection in your voice or whatever. It's the same thing. The people need to speak to your leaders. And then they have to address it with law enforcement. Well, what can we do? Because the whole thing now of defunding cops and dismantling, it's just stupid. You cannot have a police force if you're asking for anarchy. The problem is that not all cops are bad. The problem is that you have to find a way to weed out the bad ones, the ones who are overzealous, or the ones who have racial issues. That's why you have to talk. That's why you need dialogue. And that's why I'm talking, so maybe you guys can get out there and spread this message. Talk to your leaders, let them talk with law enforcement, and hopefully, God willing, we can get this thing straightened out before he comes back.